Borussia Mönchengladbach. Founded in 1900, play at Borussia Park, and back in the 1970s, they were absolutely massive. 5 Bundesliga titles, going toe-to-toe with Bayern, Gunter Netzer running about in flares looking like a prog rock star. Proper golden era stuff. Fast forward to now, and it's a mess, honestly. Gladbach are the Bundesliga's most baffling team. One week, they'll absolutely batter a Champions League side, and you're thinking, hang on, are these lot actually good? Then next weekend, they'll lose to a newly promoted team whose stadium is held together with duct tape. It's genuinely impressive how unpredictable they are. They spent the late 2000s looking decent, challenging for Europe, then just completely forgot how to defend. Like someone uninstalled their defensive software mid-season, and nobody bothered to reinstall it. The real spice, though? The Rhine derby against Köln. Absolute carnage. Form goes out the window, league position means nothing. Just 2 sets of fans who properly despise each other. Beautiful chaos. Gladbach in 2025. Talented, infuriating, and absolutely nobody knows what they're doing next, including them. Bayern Munich. The club that makes every other Bundesliga team wake up in cold sweats. Founded in 1900, based in Munich, and they've basically been hoovering up trophies since the dawn of time. 33 Bundesliga titles, 6 Champions Leagues. They've won the league so many times that German football had to invent new ways to make it interesting. Their home is the Allianz Arena, that massive spaceship-looking thing that glows red and looks like it's about to take off. Holds 75,000 people who show up expecting to win. Here's the thing about Bayern. They don't just beat you, they dismantle you. 8-2 against Barcelona? Just a Tuesday for them. They'll be 3-0 up by halftime, their fans will be checking their phones, and you're left wondering what just happened to your club. They've got this absolutely maddening habit of nicking the best players from their rivals, too. Dortmund develop a worldie? Bayern will have him by next summer. It's like clockwork. Coached by Vincent Kompany now, coming off a run of 11 straight league titles that only just got interrupted, and still acting like it never really happened. Bayern Munich. Inevitable, relentless. And the reason every other Bundesliga club needs therapy. Borussia Dortmund. The heartbreak factory. The people's club, the underdogs, the team that makes you believe in football again, and then absolutely shatters your soul into a million pieces. Founded in 1909, they play at the Westfalenstadion, or Signal Iduna Park, if you're a corporate sellout. That yellow wall, though? 25,000 fans, standing, bouncing, creating an atmosphere that genuinely makes grown men cry. Best stadium experience in the whole Bundesliga. Dortmund are brilliant at giving you hope. They'll develop world-class talent, play gorgeous attacking football, go on an incredible run, and you'll start thinking, this is it, this is their year. Then April rolls around, and they'll bottle it in the most creative way possible. It's almost artistic how they find new ways to break hearts. The Jude Bellingham sale? Heartbreak. Erling Haaland leaving? Heartbreak. That Champions League final against Bayern in 2013. Heartbreak. Last season's title race collapse? Chef's kiss? Peak Dortmund. And here's the kicker. Bayern just keeps nicking their best players. Götze, Lewandowski, Hummels. It's like watching your ex date your entire friend group, but somehow you can't help but love them. The passion, the fans, the chaos. Dortmund, where dreams go to die beautifully. Eintracht Frankfurt, the unhinged underdogs. The club that absolutely refuses to be boring. Founded in 1899, they play at Deutsche Bank Park, which sounds corporate and soulless until you realize their fans are absolutely mental. We're talking proper old-school ultras, flares, typhos that cover entire stands. They don't just support their team, they wage psychological warfare on opponents. Frankfurt are the Bundesliga's ultimate wild cards. They'll finish mid-table for 3 seasons, looking completely average, then randomly go and win the Europa League, which they did in 2022, beat Rangers in Seville, and about 50,000 Frankfurt fans just showed up, didn't even have tickets. Half of them, just vibes and belief. They've got this beautiful habit of being absolutely brilliant in Europe while simultaneously flirting with relegation at home. It makes 0 sense. They'll batter Barcelona 3-0 on a Thursday, then lose to Bochum on Saturday. Classic Frankfurt. Their fans despise Bayern, properly hate Offenbach in the derby, and have this delightful relationship with chaos that makes every match feel like a Netflix drama waiting to happen. Frankfurt in 2025. Unpredictable, loud as hell, and fueled entirely by beer and spite. FC Augsburg. The survivors. The club that technically shouldn't exist in the Bundesliga, yet somehow keeps showing up every season. Like that one guest at a party, nobody specifically invited, but nobody has the heart to kick out either. Founded in 1907, they play at the WWK Arena. Holds about 30,000 people, looks perfectly fine. Absolutely nobody outside of Bavaria has strong feelings about it either way, which is honestly a very Augsburg sentence. Here's the thing about Augsburg. They've been in the Bundesliga since 2011, and every single season, without fail, someone writes them off. Every single season. And And every single season, they somehow scramble together enough points to stay up. It's not pretty, it's not glamorous, but it works. And there's something genuinely admirable about that. They don't develop superstars, they don't win trophies, they don't have historic European nights. What they do is grind. Proper ugly, desperate, fighting for every point grinding football that makes their fans absolutely love them. Their squad is always full of players you've vaguely heard of, journeymen who found a home, and occasionally a German youth player Bayern decided they didn't want. They make it work anyway. Augsburg in 2026 won't win anything, won't get relegated, will somehow get a 94th minute equalizer against Dortmund twice a season. Absolutely essential Bundesliga furniture. FC Köln, the eternal optimists. The club where hope goes to get repeatedly punched in the face, dust itself off, and come back for more anyway. Founded in 1948, they play at the Rhein-Energiestadion. Proper old-school ground, decent atmosphere, smells like bratwurst and broken dreams. Their mascot is a billy goat called Hennis, which is genuinely brilliant, and nobody talks about it enough. Köln are Germany's most committed yo-yo club. Bundesliga, second Bundesliga, Bundesliga, second Bundesliga. Up, down, up, down, like a football club that can't decide what level it belongs to. They've been relegated more times than most clubs have won trophies. Yet, their fan base remains absolutely enormous and devastatingly loyal. It's honestly impressive how much punishment these supporters will absorb. They had their golden era in the 70s and 80s. Bundesliga titles, European football, proper respect. Then somewhere along the line, someone turned the lights off and nobody's found the switch since. The Rhine derby against Gladbach, though, completely transforms them. Suddenly, none of the league position matters, none of the recent form matters. It's just pure, unfiltered hatred and passion for 90 minutes. Beautiful. And every summer, Köln fans genuinely believe this is the year. The rebuild is done. The squad looks good. This time it's different. It's never different. Köln in 2026. Relegated in their hearts, European in their dreams. FC St. Pauli, the punk rock football club. This isn't just a football club. This is a movement with a football team attached. Founded in 1910, based in Hamburg's red light district, play at the Millerntor Stadion, a ground that feels like it was designed by someone who genuinely hates corporate football and wanted everyone to know it. No massive sponsorship deals plastered everywhere, just vibes, graffiti, and a skull and crossbones flag that's become one of the most recognizable symbols in world football. St. Pauli are explicitly anti-fascist, anti-racist, anti-homophobia. They'll ban you from the ground for being a proper bellend, and the fan base will applaud the decision. Their supporters include punks, anarchists, musicians, and people who just genuinely wanted an alternative to the boring sanitized version of modern football. And somehow it works. On the pitch, though, classic St. Pauli. They'll spend years in 2 Bundesliga building something special, finally get promoted, have an absolutely chaotic Bundesliga season fighting relegation every single week, then either somehow survive or go straight back down with their heads held high anyway. They don't care about Champions League. They don't care about trophies. They care about the club meaning something. And in an era of Saudi takeovers and soulless franchise football, St. Pauli in 2026, still fighting, still loud, still the most interesting club in Germany by a country mile. Union Berlin, the impossible club. Quite possibly the most insane story in modern football, and nobody talks about it enough. Founded in 1906 in East Berlin, they play at the Alte Försterei, which translates to the Old Forester's House, and is essentially a ground built by the fans, literally. In 2008, when they needed renovations, thousands of supporters showed up with their own tools and physically rebuilt the stadium themselves, gave up their holidays to do it. That's not a marketing campaign. That actually happened. Under communism, Union were the rebellious alternative to Dynamo Berlin, the Stasi's pet club that mysteriously won everything. Union kept losing, kept getting persecuted, and their fans kept showing up anyway. That's where the identity comes from. These people don't support a football club, they belong to one. Then somehow, impossibly, they got promoted to the Bundesliga in 2019. First time ever. Everyone expected immediate relegation. Instead, they finished 5th, then qualified for Europe, then played Champions League football at a ground that holds 22,000 people and looks like it's held together by loyalty and Christmas Eve carol singing traditions. Because yes, they literally sing carols together at the stadium every Christmas, with candles. It's absurdly wholesome. Recent seasons have been rougher, reality has bitten a little, but the soul of the club remains completely untouched. Union Berlin in 2026. Proof that football can still be about something real. FSV Mainz 05, the overachievers, the club that absolutely should not be as good as they consistently are, and yet here we are. Founded in 1905, based in a city most people associate with wine and the printing press rather than football, they play at the Maid-W Arena. Perfectly decent stadium, holds about 33,000 people, and has witnessed some genuinely ridiculous upsets over the years. Nothing particularly glamorous. Very Mainz. Here's the thing about Mainz, though. They're a small club, limited budget, limited fan base compared to the Giants. giants, and they just keep producing. Jurgen Klopp managed them and turned them from nobodies into a proper Bundesliga side. Thomas Tuchel came after and kept it going. It's like Mainz have this magical ability to find brilliant coaches before anyone else realizes they're brilliant, squeeze everything out of them, then watch them leave for Bayern or Liverpool while quietly finding the next one. On the pitch, they're the ultimate more than the sum of their parts club. No Galacticos, no massive transfer fees, just incredibly well organized, tactically disciplined, properly coached football. They'll beat Dortmund 3-0, and you'll spend 90 minutes wondering how exactly that happened. They've never won a major trophy, probably never will, but they've been comfortably Bundesliga for years now, which for a club this size is honestly a trophy in itself. Mainz, in 2026, punching above their weight so consistently it's basically just their weight now. Hamburg SV, the prodigal sons, the comeback story German football desperately needed. Founded in 1887, one of Germany's oldest clubs, and for decades absolutely untouchable. Bundesliga titles, a European Cup, proper continental pedigree. The only club to have played every single Bundesliga season since 1963. Every single one. Then, in 2018, the clock stopped. Relegated. The whole football world froze because it felt genuinely impossible. Like gravity working differently. That famous clock at the Volkspark Stadion, the one counting their uninterrupted Bundesliga days, quietly removed. One of the saddest images in modern football, honestly. 7 years in purgatory. 7 years of second Bundesliga. Playoff heartbreaks. This is definitely our year seasons that absolutely were not their year. A fan base that fills 57,000 seats watching second division football because they simply couldn't abandon their club. And then, finally, 2025. They're back. The Volkspark Stadion is buzzing again. The city is absolutely losing its mind. And Hamburg are back where they genuinely believe they belong. Hamburg SV in 2026. 7 years of hurt, one promotion, and an entire city holding its breath. Welcome back, you absolute disasters. We missed you. FC Heidenheim, the smallest giant. Population, 50,000. Bundesliga club? Somehow, yes. Founded in 1846, which technically makes them older than Germany itself, which is a brilliant piece of trivia, they play at the Voith Arena, perched on a hill overlooking the town like some kind of fairy tale football ground. Capacity, 15,000, which makes it comfortably the smallest stadium in the Bundesliga. The away end holds about 800 people. Bayern Munich substitutes bench has more people on it. Heidenheim spent decades in German football's lower reaches, completely invisible to the outside world, doing their thing in front of a few thousand people every weekend. Then Frank Schmidt happened, their manager since 2007, yes, 2007, who just quietly, patiently, methodically dragged this tiny club up through every single division until somehow, impossibly, they reached the Bundesliga in 2023. First season, everyone expected immediate annihilation. Instead, they survived, then survived again. Now they're going into 2025/26 as an established Bundesliga side, and the footballing world still hasn't quite processed how that happened. They have basically no budget, no superstars, no global fan base, just an incredibly well-drilled team, a manager who's been there longer than some of their players have been alive, and a town of 50,000 people absolutely losing their minds every other weekend. Heidenheim in 2026. Proof that football occasionally still makes beautiful sense. Hoffenheim, the billionaires' experiment, the club that makes football traditionalists physically uncomfortable, and honestly, fair enough. Founded in 1899, based in a village, and we mean an actual village, of about 3,000 people. They play at the Pre-Zero Arena, which holds 30,000, meaning on match day, the stadium literally contains 10 times the local population. The entire concept of this club existing at Bundesliga level makes no geographical sense, because here's the thing about Hoffenheim. They're not a traditional football story, they're a Dietmar Hopp story. Local billionaire, SAP software fortune, pumped extraordinary amounts of money into his hometown club and shot them from the 5th division to the Bundesliga in under a decade. Football purists absolutely despise this. Dortmund ultras famously displayed banners against Hopp that caused matches to be temporarily stopped. It got properly messy. On the pitch, though, genuinely hard to argue with. They've consistently punched above their weight, produced talented players, played attractive football, and keep finding coaches who make them click. They gave the world Julian Nagelsmann, who managed them at 28 years old. Looking like a student who wandered into the wrong building before Bayern inevitably nicked him. And right now, they're not just surviving, they're competing near the top. A village club from Baden-Württemberg. Hoffenheim in 2026. Morally complicated, tactically brilliant, and currently absolutely nobody's excuse to ignore them. Bayer Leverkusen. the Cinderella that refused to leave the ball. The most dramatic glow-up in recent football history. Founded in 1904 as literally a company sports club for Bayer pharmaceutical workers, which is why they're named after a corporation. Why there's a pill in their badge. And why football purists occasionally have opinions about them. They play at the Bay Arena, holds about 30,000, perfectly decent ground, nothing revolutionary. Very corporate, very Leverkusen. For decades, they were Germany's nearly men. Bundesliga runners-up? Yes, multiple times. DFB Pokal final losers? Absolutely. Champions League final? Lost that too. In 2002, they somehow managed to finish second in 3 competitions simultaneously, which is either impressive or the most Leverkusen thing imaginable. Fans called them Neverkusen, and honestly, it stuck because it was just accurate. Then Xabi Alonso walked in looking like a man who was born to manage football clubs, and everything changed overnight. 2023 to 24, unbeaten Bundesliga champions. Completely unbeaten. An entire season without a single defeat. Playing football so good, it felt illegal. Neverkusen died. A legend was born. 2024 to 25 brought Bayern reclaiming the title, because of course it did. But Leverkusen remained genuinely elite, pressing, attacking, refusing to be boring under any circumstances. Leverkusen in 2026, they killed the meme, kept the momentum, and are absolutely not done yet. RB Leipzig, the club football Twitter loves to hate, founded in, well, technically 2009, though the official story is slightly more complicated and involves some creative paperwork to get around German football's strict ownership rules. They're owned by Red Bull. Yes, the energy drink. Their full name is Rasenballsport Leipzig, because German football rules technically prohibit corporate names in club titles, so Red Bull just renamed the concept of their company. Football Twitter has never recovered. They play at the Red Bull Arena. Sorry, the RB Arena. Holds about 47,000 people. Looks absolutely pristine, functions perfectly, has the atmosphere of a very well-organized corporate away day. Traditional ultras groups refuse to form because of the ownership model. Some visiting fan groups still refuse to travel there on principle. It's complicated. Here's the thing, though. On the pitch, absolutely ruthless. Red Bull money, Red Bull methodology, Red Bull's global scouting network finding diamonds before anyone else notices. They've produced world-class players, played genuinely exciting gegenpressing football, and established themselves as legitimate Bundesliga title contenders basically overnight. Nagelsmann built something special there. Others continued it. They reached Champions League knockout stages with suspicious regularity for a club that's essentially a teenager. Football purists despise everything they represent, and Leipzig just keeps finishing in the top 4 anyway. RB Leipzig in 2026. Morally questionable, operationally flawless, and absolutely here to stay whether you like it or not. SC Freiburg, the anti-Leipzig. Everything RB Leipzig is not, and absolutely proud of it. Founded in 1904, based in arguably Germany's most beautiful city, nestled right on the edge of the Black Forest near the Swiss and French borders. They play at the Europa Park Stadion. Their shiny new ground opened in 2021 after spending decades at one of the most charmingly ramshackle stadiums in German football. Even their new stadium somehow feels honest. Very Freiburg. Here's what makes Freiburg genuinely special. No billionaire owner, no energy drink money, no corporate restructuring, just a small southwestern German club operating on one of the Bundesliga's tightest budgets, developing their own players through one of Germany's best academies, and consistently finishing mid-table to European positions through sheer tactical intelligence and organizational brilliance. Christian Streich managed them for over a decade. This wonderfully passionate, politically outspoken, deeply human manager who gave press conferences that felt like philosophy lectures and cried when they qualified for Europe. When he finally left in 2024, the entire football world gave him a standing ovation because he genuinely deserved it. They sell their best players every summer, then replace them seamlessly, then somehow finish 7th again. It's witchcraft. No drama, no controversy, no Russian oligarchs or Middle Eastern sovereign funds. Just football done properly with brains and humility. SC Freiburg in 2026. The purists' guilty pleasure and living proof that you don't need dirty money to belong at the top table. VfB Stuttgart, the sleeping giant that just woke up screaming, a club that spent years absolutely wasting everyone's time, then suddenly remembered they're actually massive and started acting like it. Founded in 1893, one of Germany's most historic clubs, playing at the MHP Arena, formerly known as the Mercedes-Benz Arena, because of course Stuttgart, home of Mercedes and Porsche, has a car-sponsored stadium, holds 60,000 people. When it's rocking, it's genuinely intimidating. When Stuttgart are bad, it's just a very large reminder of unfulfilled potential, because Stuttgart have been all over the place. Bundesliga champions in 2007, proper European football, genuinely exciting times. Then a decade of chaos, a relegation in 2016, another one in 2019, bouncing between divisions like a club that couldn't decide what it wanted to be. VfB. Their fans, passionate and enormous in number, just stood there watching the chaos with increasing desperation. Then, something clicked. 23-24, they finished second in the Bundesliga, behind only Bayern. Suddenly, Serhou Guirassy was scoring goals from another dimension. Chris Führich was terrorizing every fullback in Germany, and Stuttgart were playing this breathless attacking football that made everyone stop and stare. Champions League football returned to Stuttgart for the first time in over a decade. The city absolutely lost its mind. Can they maintain it? That's the question everyone's asking. VfB Stuttgart in 2026, fully awake, dangerously good, and making up for lost time at extraordinary speed. VfL Wolfsburg, the company town club, a club that exists because a car factory needed a football team and has never quite figured out what to do with that information. Founded in 1945 in a city that was literally built by the Nazis to house Volkswagen workers, which is an absolutely extraordinary sentence to write about a football club, but here we are. The city of Wolfsburg exists because of Volkswagen. The club exists because of Volkswagen. The stadium is called the Volkswagen Arena. Their transfer budget comes from Volkswagen. If Volkswagen sneezes, Wolfsburg gets a cold. They play at the Volkswagen Arena. Holds about 30,000. Perfectly modern, perfectly functional, efficient, orderly, and oddly difficult to romanticize. The Ultras do their best. It's an uphill battle. Here's the Wolfsburg paradox, though. They won the Bundesliga in 2009 with Edin Dzeko and Grafit absolutely demolishing everyone in sight. One of the most surprising title wins in recent German football history. They've won the DFB Pokal. They had a genuine Champions League run. The resources are clearly there. And yet somehow they always feel like a club operating at about 60% of their potential. Perpetually average. Occasionally brilliant. Consistently inconsistent. Every few seasons someone arrives, gets them looking dangerous, then leaves for a bigger club, and it resets entirely. Their women's team is absolutely elite and dominates European football regularly, which somehow makes the men's underachievement even more baffling. VfL Wolfsburg in 2026. Volkswagen money, mid-table energy, and a women's team carrying the entire club's reputation on their back. Werder Bremen, the Romantics. One of German football's most lovable clubs, which is either a compliment or a polite way of saying they've broken your heart repeatedly. Founded in 1899, based in one of Germany's most charming northern cities, they play at the Weserstadion, sitting literally on the banks of the river Weser, which makes it one of the most visually distinctive grounds in German football. Green and white everywhere, passionate northern crowd, genuinely gorgeous setting. If football grounds were rated on vibes alone, Weserstadion finishes top 3 every time. Bremen were properly elite once. 4 Bundesliga titles, a European Cup Winners' Cup, and in the early 2000s under Thomas Schaaf, they were playing this gorgeous, flowing attacking football that had everyone in Europe paying attention. Miroslav Klose, Torsten Frings, Johann Michaud. Absolute cinema. Then came the decline. Financial chaos, terrible transfer decisions, relegation in 2021 after decades as a Bundesliga fixture. The whole football world went quiet for a moment because seeing Bremen in the second division felt genuinely wrong. Like finding out your favorite pub had closed down. They came back in 2022, though. Rebuilt sensibly, played attractive football, reminded everyone why they existed in the first place. Now they're doing what Bremen do. Promising enough to get excited about, inconsistent enough to keep you nervous, always entertaining enough to keep watching. Werder Bremen in 2026. Too romantic for their own good, too good to ignore, and still playing football like it's meant to be beautiful.